The Star.
Yeah, y'all already know. Seven the Panther. That dude Biz on the beat. Yeah. We live in entertainment. Sound change. Crown the kings, homie. This is where it get ill. About to have the tip off live as a tip drill. From the court to the diamond, to the track, to the big skin flying round the field. Starting five forever, keeping it real. If it matters in the world of sports, jeans and long sleeves, they taking no shorts. Hot to death, oh yes, these are the sports podcasts live as a pro's corpse. Biz market wave, the starting five goes off. No matter who you cheer for, emotions out the window, they analyzing with clear thoughts. They take it way deeper than the boys ever. No longer got any use for them four letters. The latest news, score stats and the view from the sideline. Ain't no guideline, it's just the truth. Yeah, no need to dig for a pardon line. It's always in season to people starting five. We going in on three, run the baseline, starting five. Get it, we got what you need. If the sports news you see, we don't waste time. We talking cause we live it. We got what you need. We going in on three, run the baseline, starting five. Get it, we got what you need. And y'all know me, seven sign, I'm the illest cat stick. I got what you need.
I don't know why I started with that random shit because that shit was hilarious. I've been dying laughing at it for the past few days because it was some random shit that you could find on my TikTok page, on our TikTok page that you can see right on the name right there. It's your boy, the mayor, that GJ named Ace5. As always, hiding out in deepest, darkest Africa right now. And we are back. New week. Pro Bowl weekend, Super Bowl is upon us. TJ.
Say what?
Hello. Hi. How are you doing today, as my kids would say? You forgot to do it at the beginning of the show? This fucking here we go, Jamal. The connection again. Go right ahead, good brother.
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody listening in? New week. Just got through this week on this fresh, sunny Sunday. The snow is gone, which is great. Getting ready to start this new week. TJ's back.
There he is. Hello,
back,
TJ.
Hey, how are you, Daniel? What's up, Jamal?
What's going on, man? Welcome back, brother.
Say gone but not forgotten. It's temporary absence. But as always, y'all know why we're here. Another dope show for y'all. We're going to do Super Bowl predictions. We're going to get into this Brian Flores situation. Plus, we're going to talk about some of our great leaders, as this being Black History Month, the shortest month in the fucking forever. But we're going to talk about some of the leaders of men and women out there because, you know, as Brian Flores is currently doing in the NFL, which is suing due to the lack of, now this is a real lack of diversity for some of y'all out there, especially wrestling fans know what I'm talking about. But this is we're currently in the times of a real lack of diversity, especially within the NFL ranks. And we are going to highlight some of the greats across all sports that have been head coaches, managers, etc. But we're going to get into that after this fucking travesty. These motherfuckers had what, 2 years to pick a name? Roughly 2 years to pick a name. Mm-hmm. People gave them fire ass names too, like the Washington Warriors, They could have went with the Washington Wizards and matched the fucking NBA team or something. I don't know. They decided to go with the fucking Washington Commanders. So you go from a Native American name that, again, debatable, that some would say was racist, some would say wasn't and represented their people. And I remember when the whole copyright situation happened, like he actually had tribal chiefs saying that they were okay with it. Then you had other tribal chiefs out there saying no, they're not okay with it. The biggest problem was within the red man face.
That's it.
And the red man was always the derogatory racial slur against the natives of this land. And they then go with the fucking Commanders, which I know a lot of people probably was immediately thinking, this don't sound like no military. We're thinking about the owner, Dan Snyder. This just sounds like sharecropping, slave-owning motherfuckers, Jamal. This name is one of the wackest fucking names ever.
It's trash.
I will give props that black uniform does look dope, and that's about it.
That part is fine, but like they had, like you said, they had 2 years. They could have solicited names from the public. There's devices to do that. There's firms that will help you come up with a brand and a name for your organization. How they came up with this one, it seemed like they chose it last week. They was unclear, and we got to come up with something like. I would have taken like the Pullman Porters over the Commanders. You know what I mean? They could have came up with that, but I don't know. It's just Washington being Washington, man. When your ownership stinks, from the top down, you're rotten from the inside out. This is what you're gonna get. So
the Washington Iron Workers, the Washington Local Threes. Like this is TJ. This is fucking horrendous. I'm sorry.
Why didn't they just leave it the football team, Washington football team? I was cool with that. That's better than the damn. I mean, they should have just called themselves the Musketeers at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Right. The number runners, anything, man.
Yo, so is the crowd going to be shouting Cobra like every time they score a touchdown or something like that? That was just like a bad G.I. Joe name. This is like the most awfulest name you could come up with. The Commanders. That's who named the team, right? Donald Trump named this team. This is what a team that Donald Trump would name. You call them the Commanders. This is so stupid.
Did they field test this at all? Did they do?
None.
It was trash.
Third graders could have came up with a better name than this.
This literally right here is the perfect image, the fucking perfect image for y'all. For y'all listening on the podcast platforms, this is a picture of Dan Snyder and Cobra Commander in his new colors, holding a football, announcing his hire as Commanders head coach, GM, ruler of the world. Like this is just atrocious, yo. I once again, that just proves Dan Snyder to be one of the worst owners. Period.
Who's gonna buy that merch with Commanders across their chests? I'm waiting to see this.
The fan base. And did you see that? I don't have it up, but did y'all see that video of the fucking 5 black folks that looked like they were standing in front of the fucking stadium talking about this is our new chant in the stadium. We are Commanders. Bump, 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 bump. Like the name is that weak. The name is that weak that it could deserve a chant that fucking week.
Trash.
This is
trash.
No other better way to put it. This is fucking horrendous. Trash ass name for a trash organization, which we got plenty of out there, but we're going to get to the 2 organizations that happen to not be the trash organizations this year in the Super Bowl. Los Angeles Rams versus Joe Shiesty's Cincinnati Bengals. I'm just going to say it out quick because I don't have no long drawn out thing to break down this game. I want to see both teams win. I really do. But I'm going to run with the former LSU Tiger quarterback. The kid plays amazing in championship game formats and situations. And I want to see the underdogs win. I want to see a team like Cincinnati, who has not made it to the Super Bowls in 30, 31 years. Last time 87, before that 81. I want to see this team break their drought of championships. I know the Rams have way more firepower across the board on both sides of the ball, but there's been something about this Bengals team that we thought that they was going to lose to just about everybody they played, and it hasn't happened yet. Whoever wants it, go right ahead.
They could pull this off. They've surprised me. I picked against them pretty much the entire year, and I've been wrong every time. So they could definitely. They proved that metal in their work. They shut down one of the most high explosive offenses in the league a week ago, and that was very impressive. Their defense is stout. I got to give it to them. Their corners are stout. Their linebackers are to the ball. Their D line gets in the backfield. Like, I got no complaints about this. This team is solid in all three phases, like quarterback, offense, offensive line. Well, the offensive line needs work, but outside of that, I mean, they've been getting it done all year, and like you said, Burrow continues to impress. At every test he gets, he continues to press. And they were down big against KC in that first half, and he had the wherewithal and the stamina to keep his head level, not panic, and trust in his wide receivers and his line to get him through that. It was just an amazing job he's done. Like you said, you want both teams to win. I'm of the same mindset. I'd love to see Odell get a ring. I'd love to see Matt Stafford, long overdue, get a ring. Mm-hmm. That man's lived in a struggle basically his whole career, right. And now he's finally to take it out on top. Who more deservingly needs a ring more than him, right? I mean, Burrow's going to be around for a long time. Stafford maybe got a few more years left. You got to get it while this window's still open. You know what? It's going to go one of two ways. It's going to be either a blowout or it's going to be a tight game, due to the way the Bengals play defense. And you got to give props to the Bengals defensive coordinator. He figures shit out on the fly so he doesn't get beat the same way twice again. So it's definitely an interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to it. It should be an exciting game. And I think the Rams are going to pull it out. I don't think it by much, but I think they're going to pull it out. Maybe by 10 points, if that. But a field goal might decide this game at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I can run with you on the close game aspect because, yeah, I mean, we just seen the comeback that the Bengals just pulled on the Chiefs last week. Meanwhile, the Rams almost tried to give the game away and just played to maintain.
Right.
And to me, Jamal, that's where that difference sets in a close game, and why I could comfortably pick the Bengals, even though I legitimately, none of us truly have a stake in this because our team's been out. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter which way this one goes. I can just see, because how the Bengals have played through the playoffs, tight games, close at the end, who was the one to stand tall at the end and actually overcome more than what the Rams have just done against some really tough competition in holding off more than, like they shooting their load early, mm-hmm. and then play prevent in a way on both sides of the ball.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The Bengals defense, they playing championship defense right now. And that's the key is I don't think the Rams are going to bring anything that the Bengals can't manage on defense. Maybe some clever play calling, some trick plays here and there, but they should be able to handle it. is if that Bengals O-line, how they going to handle Aaron Donald and them. That's the key. But, you know, they got 2 weeks to game plan it. I picked against the Bengals so far. I ain't picking against them again. I think they're going to win. I straight up think they're going to win. And these are the games where legends is born. I mean, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, it's games like this where it's stacked against you. Joe Burrow may be trying to step into them shoes. And so far, he hasn't disappointed. Nobody expected them to be where they are right now. You know, and they're a different team than they was during the regular season. They're playing at a different level. So, you know, in just a one-game scenario, they're even. It's about who executes their game plan better. But I think the Bengals is playing with house money. The Rams, you know, you can only win so many close games before you lose that close game. So let's see what's up. But I'm picking the Bengals.
Let me tell you this. Nobody saw
Joe Shiesty for real. Like,
nobody saw this coming from him, like, at all. Like, I mean, they saw what he could do in college. When you get to the NFL, it's definitely a different level, a different tier. And who knows if he didn't get hurt last year, you know, what would have happened, how far he would have carried them. But after coming off a damn near career-ending injury and only being in his second year, that's phenomenal. The work he's doing is phenomenal. And if he gets a better O-line, forget about it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap in that division. They'll be sitting on top for a long time in that division if he continues to play this way.
Sure.
Barring injury.
Yep. And excuse me for the short pause because there was trucks coming by, and I was making sure I pinned this video and this show in the group. That's the Star 5 Podcast Facebook group. Search for us. Come join the group. Easy access to get in. Answer the 3 questions correctly to be a member. Come in, have fun with us, kick it. Watch these shows that we're doing now each and every week. Plus, there's other podcasters that drop their stuff in there also because though we are who we are, we don't mind. I personally don't mind sharing this space with others because many people don't do the same, haven't done the same for myself and us over the years. And I am not afraid to help big others up at all. So you got podcasts. Don't just see now. There is one problem though. And I will say it on the show, which is not really a problem. There's one person that ever since this person's been in the group, never really interacted with everything, but his podcast is playing in there every week. Again, I don't mind because spread the love. But also it doesn't show anybody watching this show from our group either. But also you got to start coming around and participating, getting to know people. It's the same format and logic that we've used from HHDG and other groups. Get yourself known. You ain't got to be buddy with everybody, but we show love out here. You know what I'm saying? We show love. So don't be afraid. If you're another podcast, you know other podcasters, come through. This is a melting pot for creators. It's okay to share your stuff with us. Just come through, get to know the people a little bit, get to know the lay of the land, and we show love. It's as simple as that. But a person who is not being shown love is Mr. Brian Flores. Which one of y'all want to set the table on this situation? I'm going to give it up to one of y'all.
Jay, you can take it first.
So, all right, where do I begin? Because there's a lot to unpack with this. First of all, I commend Brian Flores. I think what he's doing is incredibly courageous and self-sacrificing because he's a young dude. He could still eat in the NFL right now if he kept his mouth shut for another 25 years. And he would still get another head coaching job at some point if he just maintains status quo. But he wants institutional change and he sacrificed himself. He's pretty much becoming a suicide bomber to do this. And
FBI, we are not condoning suicide bombing. CIA and all you motherfuckers.
Very big on the quotes.
He's sacrificing himself for institutional change, which is incredibly commendable because we all know, especially in the history of this country, fighting against anything racist, it takes a coalition of different measures to make some shit happen. It's not one way to do it. You need a whole bunch of different ways, but you need somebody like Brian Flores to just call it out. And they're not going to be able to hide from this. Is this going to change stuff overnight? I don't know. But they're on the defensive.
Right.
They are extremely on the defensive now. What they did to him, at least I'm just going to take two topics. What the Dolphins did to him and what the Giants did to him. The other stuff, is kind of whatever. It's he said, she said between the Broncos and Jerry Elway and his other situation. But he's elbow deep in his feelings bag right now because they fucked with him. So he calling out every fucking body.
Right.
Right. But, with the Dolphins letting him go after two back-to-back winning seasons was trash. Okay. That's just straight up trash. Okay. And it goes to his point of what he's saying, what happens with black coaches being in a short leash. Now, I feel strongly about the situation with the Giants because if I'm going to call out and address racism in the sport of football, I at least need to start with the team that I root for. And they have that Rooney Rule set up, which is it's better than nothing, but it's complicated and difficult as it is. But they're supposed to interview two black candidates or two minority candidates, one at least in person and one virtually, before they make their decision. So they had the little Leslie Frazier interview, I think, virtually.
Yeah.
If indeed they made up their mind on Brian Dable before that interview with Brian Flores, that is trash. That's fucked up. And what he's doing now, the measures he's taking now is right. And they know it's wrong. Roger Goodell knows it's wrong because they kind of made an about face. When this first happened, the NFL was like, oh, you can't be making these claims without merit. But now Roger Goodell saying the practice, the situation is unacceptable and how they hire minority comments. Right?
And on that point there, let me take over because what if you're unfamiliar with what's going on is that Brian Flores is suing the league for racial discrimination purposes and saying that the hiring practice is unfair, even with Rooney Rule set in place. Now, to go right off the point that Jamal was just making about the NFL, yeah, Roger Goodell, as stated, made a complete about face on this whole situation. He first said no merit, then came out and sent a letter to all 32 teams stating that these hiring practices need some change. This is just and that's just like, it's not verbatim, but that's in a gist and in essence of what is being said in said letters, that there needs to be institutional change when it comes to our hiring practices, your hiring practices, owners. Because again, Roger Goodell is the head of the umbrella. He's the judge, jury, and executioner on the rules and situations and how things go. But you got to kind of also think about it as he's controlling 32 independent contractors.
Right.
These 32 independent contractors, aka NFL team owners, still have the rights to hire how they choose, but as long as they follow the rules that Goodell is supposed to enforce. You're taking y'all Giants, for instance, great example, because if you want to talk about and you want to bring the aspect of racism into this, not saying that the Giants organization is racist, but if you call them that, I understand. This is the last team to start a black quarterback in the NFL. To start a black quarterback ever in the NFL. And they did that because Eli was hurt one time. Geno Smith, I think it was 2017 to be exact, or maybe a couple years prior to that. But think about that. It took this organization that long. And then, as I pull them up, let me pull the Brian Flores found out about, because the Giants situation became the hot button team and topic within this whole thing. He got text messages from Bill Belichick And here are the text messages. This is on CNN.com, and this is how the text messages were reading as he reported it. Sounds like you have landed. Congrats. Bill Belichick text Flores according to screen grabs of the conversation.
Mhm.
Did you hear something I didn't hear? Flores replied, Giants, Belichick text. I interviewed on Thursday. I think I have a shot at it. Got it. I heard from Buffalo and New York Giants that you are their guy, Belichick replied. Later, Flores sought clarification. He said, Coach, are you talking to Brian Flores or Brian Dable? Flores asked. Just making sure. Sorry, I fucked this up, Belichick answered. I double-checked and I misread the text. I think they are naming Dable. Sorry about that, BB. Yeah. Like I called it maybe like a week or two ago when everybody went on, especially y'all two. Oh, I like him for the Giants. I like him. He probably would have been a great hire for the Giants. But I made it plain and simple. The Giants ain't hiring no Negroes at the top spot on their team. I'm sorry. And if you needed that proof, like I just mentioned a few seconds ago, just look back at how long it took them. They were the last team to start a black quarterback in the NFL. And I'm reminding y'all this in Black History Month, that the New York Giants, a lot of team that y'all niggas love. I'm not saying go find a new team. I'm not. I'm not. They gave y'all joy over the 40 years that I've been living because I seen all 4 Super Bowls. I seen them, and I wasn't a fan. I seen them. They gave y'all joy if you have been living as long as I have. But if we're talking about a racist league and it's the evidence is there that you can point the finger at them. They love Negroes at every other position. And let's keep it funky. Michael Strahan is a god over there. Lawrence Taylor, the GOAT at linebacker, is a god. New York Giant. So many of the Giants' greatest of greats share our same melanin as us on this show. So, yeah, you can also say, yeah, they're not racist, but it also flows with that thinking of the historic nature behind what they think of us at the quarterback position, what they think about us in coaching roles, and especially the lead coaching role, things like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And for this to have come out, especially these text messages, TJ, it is so damning against the league and against you got this proof and you got it from the god MC of coaching himself, Bill Belichick.
Yo, so I never thought I would utter these words, but shout out to Bill Belichick for shit starting this whole thing, B. I would never give Belichick his props, but this shit right here, he knew exactly what the fuck he was doing.
100%.
How he was doing it, and who he was doing it to. If they don't smack Bill Belichick's hand for fucking this whole thing up, they're sad. They're in the wrong because.
Oh, and let's not forget Bill Belichick got a history of fucking up already, and skated persecution from fuck ups already.
Your man is definitely pulling the triple Lutz skating shit on this one because he's gonna slide all the way off this shit. He threw it out there and hid right back into the shadows of his comfortable vacation that he's doing right now. He's like, oh, my bad.
Oh, did I do that?
Yeah. Yo, this man threw the fucking gasoline, poured it on slow, and threw the lighter and walked away. And he's standing across the street watching the whole shit burn. Like,
nah, that was them text messages, Jamal, was Molotov cocktail. That was a slow burn. That was literally
incendiary.
I applaud him too, because let me tell you something. Bill Belichick has not made an indeliberate move since that 85 divisional playoff game when he was the Giants D coordinator against the Bears. That's the last indeliberate move he made. Brian Flores is his guy. Coach for him for years. you know, he found a way to out this shit and not have his hands dirty.
Word.
That is not by accident, bro.
The chess move was fatal on this. This was a death blow right here.
And it brings you back. I'm sorry, go ahead, TJ.
No, and it just stains the entire shield of the NFL. Like it's a huge smack in the face. It's coming from, like you said, Dan, one of your GOAT legend coaches of all time. Who's going to argue? Who's going to argue against this man?
Come on.
So he started this snowball. He was like, watch, they're gonna fuck my boy over. He knew it already, and he said, I'm gonna stand up for my boy this one time. Again, to the organization that he loved. He came from the Giants. You know, this is the organization that set him on his path to be the great person he is now.
But the irony behind and the weirdness behind what you just said in, I'm going to take care of my boy, but I'm going to do it by way of hurting his feelings in a way. I don't know if that's not ironic or that's more.
There was no other way he could do it, though.
Right.
There was no other way he could do it, though. And
but, so you're saying that this is a legit, y'all feel that this is a calculated mistake?
You would have to show me receipts to the opposite with Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
I give
somebody
you that
had to fall on a sword, and he picked his boy to fall on the sword for this one. You know what I'm saying?
I'll give you that because I remember Deflategate, I remember Spygate, and he did that shit, and only got slapped for Spygate when he was supposed to have served a year suspension after Deflategate, but Goodell diffused that shit real quick and took all blame off of him, but made the Patriots organization pay that fine, and Brady served the suspension. But Bill, like I said, we got to save the God MC of coaching. He was off the hook. So I agree with y'all.
He's off the hook on this too. He's off the hook on this too.
Give me proof. You said it, Jamal. Give me staunch proof opposed to this.
I think he was taking care of his guy. I think he knew they was doing Flores dirty. That was one of his dudes. I think he was taking care of him and doing it in a way where he couldn't get in trouble for it. Oops, it's an accident. Sorry, wrong Brian.
Yeah.
My bad, Raj, and them. You know,
and them text bubbles, them text messages. You know, the font on his phone was probably big as shit. So it probably
there's no way you send that text.
Name.
There's no way you send that text and not know who the fuck you texted. There's a big difference between Flores and Dable. Okay,
you think more than just looking at him?
Yeah. So I mean, is the NFL now going to go the way of Kaepernick and possibly pay this man off some huge amount of money to keep quiet and sign an NDA and take care of his family for like the rest of his life? Cut him a check for like $100 million and be like, yo, we'll just make the owners foot the bill for the $100 million, which is a drop in the bucket for them. And, you know, they all come up with $10 million a piece or whatever you divide that by 32 is. Everybody cut the check and be like, yo, you can't work for us no more, but you're good for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying?
It's like
Kaepernick ain't broke.
And it's like you said, Jamal. Like it was a commendable yet hard risk that he pulled. But as soon as you said risk, and as soon as I heard all of this, when this first all played out, I immediately thought he just martyred himself like Colin Kaepernick did.
No doubt.
Oh yeah.
But the difference in this though is he's speaking, Colin isn't. Right. The other difference is teams were ready to hire Colin. I don't think anybody's going to roll with this guy after this.
Dan, I'm going to disagree. I think teams were verbally ready to hire Colin because it looked good.
But he also played it off like, nah, I don't want that. Nah, I don't want that. Nah, I don't want that. Which to me, it also looked like the situation that a lot of black coaches fall into in general, like how Doug Peterson just got the job in Jacksonville, right? We all thought it was Byron Leftwich, and then y'all reminded me in the group that Byron was just like, I need a different GM in there. I don't trust this guy, yada yada. There needs to be another GM in there. But I'm just explaining the situation vaguely, but I really am just trying to say that black head coaches, for the most part, with the exception of one of them that we're going to talk about as one of the best to do it a little later, is that mostly, especially within the NFL, you start off in shit situations, turn shit situations around, then you can potentially get another job. So Colin would have just ended up on a non-contending team. Brian Flores, the Giants wouldn't have been contenders. But for a team that loves that discipline, that loves that structure, and the dude is from fucking Brooklyn.
Right.
Brooklyn. He's from Brownsville. He's black.
It don't get no harder than Brownsville.
He's Latin and black. He checks multiple boxes.
All the boxes.
And I wanted the Giants to get Flores, but I knew that it was hinged upon them hiring Riddick.
Right.
If they didn't hire him, I knew they had no shot at Flores.
Right.
But the Giants pretty much had a lob pass to them right now with Brian Flores. All they had to do was just put it in the hoop, and they bumped that up. And whether they
finger rolled it.
Don't remind me.
Whether they consciously made a racist decision or whatever, racism is conscious and unconscious, and that's the part a lot of people have trouble understanding. Yeah. Because if you're used to doing things a certain way, and that's always all you've known, and a lot of those folks don't think that shit is racist,
right?
And really, even though they benefited from that, and I think the Giants need to take a hard look at themselves and the hiring practices, and see what's what. But it's out there now, and why I think with Flores' situation, what he did, and you're right, that was self-sacrifice. He knew it was done. Like I said, with his age, he could have worked for the next 25 years. But where the difference between him and Kaepernick is that he's talking, and two, I think he wants blood. He wants blood. This is not going to go away. I don't think they're going to be able to just give him a few dollars and put some pro-black slogans on some fields and posters and advertisements and think it's gonna
stop hate on the back of a helmet while you joking somebody out.
So I don't know if this is gonna go away, and it's a microcosm of society as a whole in this country. Is that one? What we all know, racism hates to be acknowledged. That is the key.
Critical race theory. Anyone?
Yes. Racism hates to be acknowledged, and if you look at the history of the country we live in, racism is only acknowledged in retrospect, because current racists will always say, well, yes, it was racist back then, but at least we're not sending dogs on you now and use the same bathrooms and shit that we use now. But that generation of racists was said, oh, well, at least you're not in chains and shit and whatever else. So racism only gets acknowledged in retrospect. So that's where the NFL is right now.
So we also got to look at the hiring practices of the NFL. It is the league of the hookup. All right. You get on, you hook it up everybody else that helped you get to where you need to be. Right. Hands down, nepotism, you a cousin, uncle, son, your boy from third grade who followed you through the league. You are getting hooked up. They gave me the keys to this kingdom, bro. Jamal, you on. Dan, you on. We're going to bring everybody in that I need who needs a job. I don't give a shit if you catching the balls for the ball boy. You're getting hooked up, bro.
Let me simplify that by how it's called in this league. Coaching tree.
Yes.
Right. It's a hookup. It's a fucking hookup, though.
And TJ, as I'll say it, I said it once, I said it twice, and I'll say it again. He is of the coaching tree of the God MC.
That's right.
And Bill Belichick.
The ultimate hookup.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you are.
He's the ultimate hookup.
And think about all of his fucking spastastic fucking coaches that have went on elsewhere and shit the bed elsewhere.
His offensive coordinator just got a job with the Raiders.
Yes.
after fucking up the Denver Broncos.
Yes. How about this? And how about this? Non-coaching tree status, just to further add fire to the flame of what's going on. They're talking about Josh McCown, who is a high school quarterback coach right now. Former Eagle quarterback, third string, by the way, too. But they're talking about Josh McCown as a viable option as a head coach in the NFL right now.
For who?
Exactly. That's what. And when Jamal brings up the whole racism and stuff in America, and it goes back to that saying of we got to work twice as hard, twice as strong, twice as fast, all of that. When their mediocrity gets them through, possibly because they were a nice guy.
Well, you look at the Dolphins situation, right? They're about to turn the corner and be on some winning shit, right? Now you let go of the black coach, so the next guy coming in can reap all the rewards and success because the team is entrenched and firmly got shit on the uptick now.
That would be the ideal situation. And you just brought something in my head before that I wanted to mention. When I mentioned the situations of you got to start in shit situations to then elevate yourself upward. A person that we're going to talk about later, Tony Dungy. He turned that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, who was shit prior to him, around. Got them back up to something. John Gruden finished the job, i.e. Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr. But then
Herm Edwards, the Jets,
yes,
yeah, but also too though, and that situation. Granted, Jets still were roughly a bad team. You brought in a better defensive mind, in my opinion, that actually got that Jets team into 2 AFC championships in a row because of phenomenal defense. Not from quarterback play, from serviceable quarterback play. Very good run game with Thomas Jones in them. But their defense played phenomenal.
I mean, Lovie Smith brought the Bears to the Super Bowl, and where's he at now?
Right. But
where's he at now?
You got to work twice as hard to build the bullshit to get something better. That's where Brian Flores should be going to right now. That's where he should be going to right now. And don't automatically think that the Dolphins are just going to be better. That, to me, was the sign of being coached up to go from 0-7 to 9-7.
That's crazy.
How do you get a team to turn that around? That should be like, you know what, Jerry Jones, I need to hire this motherfucker right now.
Right.
You don't understand what I'm saying? Like,
how do you get fired from that? He should have never been fired. We wouldn't be talking about this if he was fired.
Jim Caldwell, curse of Jim Caldwell. You made the Lions look like something. Goodbye. Wow. And then we didn't even speak about when we're talking about the Dolphins and what he alleges that the owner offered him $100,000 a game to lose more for better draft picks.
That's crazy.
That says to me, that says a lot about how you feel about the pieces you picked up. In most cases, that says a lot to me about how you feel about the quarterback play from the guy that y'all was sold on, that your head coach was not sold on. Yet, he was still able to utilize that man to give you 9 wins after an 0-7 start. If that doesn't tell you that, again, you worked twice, some would say that's 10 times as hard to pull a bad Miami Dolphins team up to 9-7 after an 0-7 start.
In the NFL, it's especially hard because that's one of the few sports where you have to depend on everybody to be successful in all phases of the game. You need your defense clicking, you need your offense clicking, you need your kick and special teams game kicking. You need everything to work to start off 0-7, then rattle off 7 straight wins against quality. I mean, there's shitty teams in the NFL, but them guys got pride, so they're gonna go out there and play every day. They bring it. They might not match the talent level on the other side of the field, but They're not taking any days off. You know what I'm saying? These guys are playing for a check just like everybody else is. You can't mail it in the NFL or you get hurt. You know what I'm saying? You cannot mail it in the NFL because you will get hurt or you will be sitting or, you know, your rep will follow you wherever you go. This guy doesn't play hard. You know how that goes. They tag you with that and then you're done.
And that's why I agree that he is now the martyr for black coaches within the NFL. He spoke out. He's done for in the NFL, in my opinion. If somebody
the Texans are looking at him for some reason, but I wouldn't go to that that dumpster fire of an organization, no matter how much money they gave him.
You see my face. We just seen the brother that like what? It took him 20 years almost to get a shot. That was a fucking. They already went through a sympathy hire. Why are you gonna make another one to quite possibly silence this guy? He's not suing you for a job. That's what Kaepernick did, and a lot of people would. Yes, the fight that Kaepernick put up was warranted. It was justified, making his voice heard for our people to be heard. But let's keep it real too. All that whole play was to also try to get back in eventually. It eventually turned as a play to try to get back into the league because the man still loved the game. He was still good at the game. At the time, he was better than at least 60% of the quarterbacks at play during that time.
Indeed.
But the whole circus eventually turned into I want a job. This here is direct. This is direct to the league. This isn't to the mass populace of the country. This is direct speaking to you, to your face. And something like this is like you giving me a black eye, you black both of my eyes, and now you want me to be your friend again?
Yeah. And he's got data behind it, man. He's got data, circumstances, and you could just look at what's going on with Eric Bieniemy in real time.
He's going to get it. Yeah. And see, people like him, people like Byron, they're going to get jobs faster now because of this. Which martyred himself. But guess what? In my opinion, he is now going to be an excellent coach for HBCU. And now HBCU will pick him up behind that.
Now,
stand with you, brother. Here's a job.
Let's say a Bieniemy or a Leftwich gets a job. He wants to bring Flores in as a defensive coordinator. Does he get a job?
He's done. Right.
Them owners will tell him you can't hire him. And guess what? Like I said, 32 independent contractors. They can pick who the fuck they want. They do it each and every year in and year out. Sorry, Brian. Your days in the NFL are over. Like y'all said, they're gonna cut him a check, Jamal. They're gonna cut him a check. But I personally think there should be a college team out there somewhere.
Oh, he can get a job on a college level anywhere he wants. Anywhere he wants.
Yeah, he's going to be good money there. But as far, he'll get some go away money from the NFL. They don't want to go to court with this because they don't want any outside investigation. Because as we know with any institution, institutions cannot self-police, and the NFL wants to continue to self-police. So they're going to pay him some hush-up money. But that's going to be the last NFL check he will cash for the rest of his life.
I believe it.
It'll be a big check, though. It'll be a healthy check.
Something to prevent a lawsuit.
Yeah. But this is not going away anytime soon. We'll be talking about this for a few months, for sure.
No, absolutely. Sure. And we will, because something like this is important to track. And I'm glad you led me into that before we transition, because when this whole situation first started, right? I started to hear certain radio shows. A lot of people around the world started to speak about this situation. And there was one moment that made me say, this is important to why we do what we do. Because I heard an AM radio station, and clear as day, it was a white host on the show. And this isn't, I'm not saying this is everybody. I'm just speaking specifically to this station. That guy took the typical stance of, well, he already had a job in the league. He got a job. They hired him. You know what I'm saying? He was in the league for some years now. He's had several different coordinator jobs. I don't think this lawsuit is right. I don't think this is a justifiable thing to do. I don't think this is the right thing to do. Then you look at, I took a screenshot of Chris Broussard. Shout outs to Will. He posted in the group a video from Fox Sports of all places. And it was Chris Broussard talking about this situation, speaking that how this was the right thing to do, which is weird to say that somebody's on Fox was standing up for on his behalf in this way. But then everybody else on this show, they all kind of shared the same look and demographic. Even Chris Broussard, his skin tone was TJ's skin tone. They all looked like white folks. They all were, with the exception of him. No shots. You know what I'm saying? But they all, and it's so many of that aren't looking like us that have the power in major media to talk about this situation and try to spin it, television, radio, and otherwise, try to spin a situation to try to make it look bad and downplay it. Fuck Shitlock. I'm not even bringing that up. Hold on, TJ. But it brought me back to why places like us are important. Why podcasting is important. Why radio shows and or podcasts of different demographics and multiple backgrounds and cultures and stuff of people is so important in conversations like these, because you let the one side tell it. You let that dominant presence on television, radio, and others, the ones who get the opportunity, let them tell it all, and it's going to skew the mass majority's mind into thinking a certain way. That's why places like this, that's why places like our show here are so important. That's why for the few people who do tune in and check in and watch us and love what we do, they come back and say, yo, we bring funny, we bring this and that, but the most important, you're going to actually still learn something. And you'll learn a perspective that you're not going to get in mass media. You're not going to get on these freaking radio stations where you just had to maybe go to broadcasting school for 6 months. But once again, you got the hookup because my boy is the program director. My boy worked the board in this situation. Yada, 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 whatever the situation and case may be. This is why podcasting and situations like this are important, because people like us who would not get the opportunities. And I had that one opportunity where I was on ESPN radio. Thank you, Ryan Lumberg. Thank you, Ryan Lumberg, for responding to a tweet. And when I asked about the Fanalist Friday, and he was just like, sure. He didn't run a contest like he used to, but I just shot my shot. That was the one time. I even shouted the podcasts out and everything on there. I was allowed to. They'd let me. But voices like that, voices like ours, don't always get those opportunities. We don't. A daily basis, you look at the faces that you see on TV, you hear the voices that you hear on radio. Consistently, they're trying to spin you into thinking, but saying that their perspective is more because they may have a college degree. You're not going to get the shit that we drop from most people on TV or radio, things like that. You're not. That's why I was stating that something like what we do here is super important. It's for fun. I love this shit. We love this shit. It's fun. It's entertaining, but you're going to get perspectives outside of what they're trying to force feed you and tell you how to feel on a daily basis, especially when it's hundreds of people that don't look like you. So just remember that, people. That's all I wanted to get off my chest.
No matter how the NFL is trying to defend this, it's an ugly stain. It's indefensible, really, to try to clean this up. It's indefensible. The numbers prove it. The lack of black head coaches on the field prove it. The Rooney Rule being established more than it proves what the situation is. So everything is in this man's favor, no matter how you look at it. It's just ugly, and it's the conversation that people don't want to have. It's the conversation that people don't want to have because they feel uncomfortable now. But we've been uncomfortable our entire life. We're trying to have a conversation about one thing. We're not even going to get into all the other shit that we're uncomfortable about, that we got to hear, that we got to let slide. So, like I said, this is not going away no time soon. And because Goodell gets paid by the owners, he's going to have to toe the company line. He gets a hefty check every year. He's one of the highest paid commissioners, if not the highest paid commissioner in all of sports. I think he's like something ridiculous, like $55 million a year or some nonsense like that. It's bananas, his salary. All right, that's ridiculous. So, yeah, he's going to slap a few wrists here and there and send out the memo of, you got to do better with your hiring practices. But like you said, Dan, I'm a billionaire and I bought this team. I'm going to run it as I see fit. Fuck what you got to say at the end of the day.
Yeah, all while following the rule. Hey, at least I interviewed these niggas. Mm-hmm. At least I interviewed these niggas. You know what I'm saying? And I plan on, I haven't had no free time to do it, but I plan on dropping a video about the fucking Rooney Rule soon. It's going to be funny as shit. So, but it all stems back to, as I mentioned, when it comes to all of this shit, as Jamal mentioned about racism earlier, it's all good until you hit that revisionist history on them. I know he said it differently, but once you pull it back, that revisionist history, then it's like you said, oh, well, we gave you niggas books. That don't mean we got to show you how to read. You learned how to read that stop sign. Who taught you how to read? Who taught you how to read that Chris Rock joke?
You trying to get knowledge, nigga?
Right?
There's a Boondocks episode like that. That's hysterical. But
yeah. But like I said, man, start sticking with us. Find other podcasts and stuff to listen to, man. Get perspectives. Like, shit, I mean, just you want other perspectives, different lane. Like, my kids don't even watch, like, fucking Nickelodeon, Disney, and shit like that. Like, they're on YouTube all the time. Because these content creators and the relaying and displaying of information, you could go to anywhere to get this stuff now. You don't have to keep complaining about, oh, the radio ain't playing my boom bap favorite hits and shit no more.
The game has changed.
Information has been vast for some time. And guess what, y'all? We have voices now. Hi, how you doing? 8 years here. We ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? We've had voices for a long time. Start supporting a lot more of those independent voices out there over your mass media bullshit. And then you're crying and complaining later, oh, the media. Well, no, dumbass, your lazy ass didn't go look outside the box. And that's that.
Sure.
All right, but coaches, this is the reason why we're here. Coaches. Hold on a quick second.
Podcasting from the job.
My bad, y'all. But we're talking about coaches. I want y'all to go through a few. Save me some time. I got to take a quick split for like 5 minutes. So whoever wants to go first, go first.
Jay, you go first, and then I'll follow you.
No doubt. So I'm going to start with number 5 on my list. As far as on my top 5 GOAT African American coaches, and right now I'm going to start off with C. Vivian Stringer, head coach of Rutgers NCAA women's basketball. third winningest coach all time behind Pat Summitt and Sylvia Hatchell. She's doing her thing. She's not getting the recruits that a lot of those other schools are getting. And she's just straight up here winning. Just straight up here winning. Great basketball mind. Great motivator of women. Great X's and O's coach for basketball. Always has Rutgers relevant. And Rutgers, Rutgers is a big school in terms of school size in Jersey. It's a big school. But, it's not on those top tier of national powerhouses. And she always has them competitive. And I don't think she gets her just due. I mean, the biggest news story she had is when the now dead Mumra, Don Imus, said that shit about her players. But, I think in terms of GOAT African-American coaches, she's number 5 on my list, brother.
She definitely is a proven winner. Her track record is beyond reproach. Like, her resume is littered with achievements and accomplishments. Like you said, she, outside of Pat Summitt, one of the most, and I don't know who the second one is, but I mean, too. Yeah, if you're top 3 in women's coaching in women's basketball, and think of the success of like Oriema and what he's done with UConn, and I'm trying to think of the other. I can't remember the other person's name right now. Of these big powerhouse schools, and she continues to put up W's, like you said, through all the bullshit that she has to
all
do.
the schools, Rutgers. She's doing that Rutgers.
Right, which is not considered a powerhouse school at all.
So we're talking about C. Vivian, and I should have got a better picture because right now she's looking
that's the perfect picture because she's doing her thing right there. She's laying the law down.
Yeah, bro.
Play defense, motherfucker.
She always has her girls, her women ready to play. They play good defense. They play good space basketball, and she can coach men because she can walk. She walks into a room and demands attention, real, and everybody's quiet. You hear a pin drop when she starts cutting. So
you won't catch her team unprepared on any night, and that's the deal. That's the deal. She won't get beat because she was unprepared to play the team. It might be a talent issue, but it definitely won't be because she was unprepared to play the game.
If she had the talent that Stanford was getting or UConn was getting or some of the other schools,
forget about it.
She'd be a monster. So, but no, shout out to C. Vivian Stringer.
Indeed.
I'm a roll since I'm back quicker than expected. I'm a roll with the cover photo of this week's episode. And that's Dawn Staley. First off, shout out to my boy Eugene, super crush back in the day for reasons that are very understandable. But you want to talk about somebody who's built a resume to get to where she's at, to be quite possibly the best coach in all of women's basketball. This woman here, I mean, I'm just going to run through her wiki and some of her accolades. It's extensive. It's extensive. 6-time WNBA All-Star, 10th anniversary team member, 15th anniversary team member, 2-time ABL All-Star, Honda Sports Award 2 times, 2-time National College Player of the Year. This is all as a player. WBCA Player of the Year 2 times, 2 times USBWA Player of the Year, ACC Player of the Year 2 times. As a coach, she won the national championship in 2017, 3-time regional champion, 6-time SEC tournament champion, 5-time regular season champ, Naismith Coach of the Year 2020, WBCA National Coach of the Year 2020, National Coach of the Year AP 2020, USBWA Coach of the Year in 2020. She just killed everything in 2020. 4-time SEC Coach of the Year, 4-time Atlantic 10 Coach of the Year, 3-time Atlantic 10 regular season champ, and 2-time Atlantic 10 Coach of the Year. That just to add on to her several gold medals playing for the USA team and coaching. I mean, I barely had to run her resume. Just mentioning her name alone is GOAT status. Philly representative.
Yeah, I actually had her on my list in the beginning. I went with C. Vivian just because the resume was longer, but Dawn belongs in it. I got no arguments with putting her on the list because she's a GOAT in the making right now, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real. As Jaden Smith said, I'm just an icon living. For real. Who's next?
My fifth was Tony Dungy. What this man has done on and off the field, helping other players in the league, helping black players in the league, helping Michael Vick get out of his situation after the whole debacle in Atlanta and getting him back into the league and getting a job where he could perform. I mean, the man's resume, like as we mentioned here, is littered with accomplishment and achievements. His personal record for his career in the 13 seasons he was a head coach is 148-79. Like, that's ridiculous. It's a 652 winning percentage. In the regular season alone, he was 139-69. The man just put up W's wherever he went. Only missed the playoffs twice, and that was with the Bucks earlier on in his career. Never missed the playoffs with the Colts. Ran into the buzzsaw, which is called Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, several times. And Tom Brady is just Tom Brady. So you got to understand where he's coming from. Coached one of the greatest quarterback minds of all time, if not ever, in Peyton Manning. And had the wide receiver duo, one of the best wide receiver quarterback duos ever with Harrison and Manning. First black coach to win a NFL Super Bowl. I mean, the man's presence speaks volumes. Like you said, when he walks into a room, he commands respect, and he's doing a phenomenal job on Sunday Night Football. The man's well connected. People still call on him, lean on him for advice, whether it be personal, career, or otherwise. The man's a legend, walking legend, and for him to do great things is phenomenal.
Right. And a person like him might have a ringtone like that too. But but I mean, it once again, it proves to the NFL we could do this job, people. You know what I'm saying? But it also too, when you're as great as he was, it's like, to be black, you gotta be as tight knit and buttoned up as him, to where it can kind of show as a hindrance to others that are coming up, because you nobody's going to be what Tony Dungy was. Nobody ever. And to assume that we all would have to think that way and act the same way and work the same way, it's asinine. It's asinine. But Tony Dungy, nonetheless, is an absolute legend, and indeed proves that we can do the job, people. Our people can do the job. Who's next?
Who you got next, Jamal?
I got next. All right, so I started with C. Vivian Stringer. Next up on my list is John Thompson from Georgetown.
Heavyweight.
Yeah. John Thompson, two-time NBA champion as a player with the Celtics, was known as the Cadillac because he backed up Bill Russell, and he was an easy job. NCAA championship in '84, coaching the Hoyas, brought them back to relevancy. Back to, they had been absent from the tournament for over 20-something years. 6-time Big East Conference tournament champion, 5-time Big East regular season champion. Multiple tournament bursts, and an eye for talent. But to me, John Thompson's probably his greatest accomplishment was off the court, because that dude sat in front of Rayful Edmond, and if you don't know who Rayful Edmond is, watch American Gangster. Folks from the DMV know who Rayful Edmond was, and he told Rayful Edmond to stay away from Lonzo Mourning and a couple other players. And Rayful Edmond was not a gentleman to be messed with. And Thompson said, "Stay away from my players." But his on the court coaching and abilities speak for itself, man. Georgetown, especially in our community, was huge when he was there.
Huge. The unofficial black college.
Yeah. So especially fans of Big East basketball, like myself, which I'm still probably one of the last 6 St. John's fans there. I know it ain't no so, but watching them battles between St. John's, Syracuse, and Georgetown, and going to them tournaments at the Garden, it was everything I loved about college basketball.
Yes,
so.
Yeah, we grew up in a great time for that. Especially Big East was. I still miss Big East in football with the U and Syracuse and everybody. But yeah, Big East basketball was like the premier in a way at one time. Whether I would say we, as far as the conference, was winning national championships and or not, there was always players that were must watch. I mean, he gave us Ewing, then he gave us Alonzo Mourning. Then he gave he gave us Ewing, then Dikembe Mutombo, then Alonzo Mourning, I believe, or it might have been the other way around.
Mourning and then Dikembe, I think.
Mourning then Dikembe. Mourning then Dikembe. Yeah. And he gave us Allen Iverson.
That's right.
Along with a whole host of others. John Thompson, certified legend. Legend.
You can't forget that press conference we had where he was going to choke the shit out of John Calipari. So, your man is definitely a legend. His name rings bells. Patrick Ewing considered him a father figure, like a second father to him throughout his career, and to coach his alma mater and follow in his footsteps. I mean, you can't ask for a greater role than that. After being snubbed in the NBA for several years, being on the sidelines, and what he's trying to continue with the tradition of that program. John Thompson is beyond legendary for the sport of basketball on all levels. Somebody definitely you should look up to and try to follow.
Yes, sir. Now I'm gonna go with, because Jamal and I got several of the same, but I'm gonna save those because I'm gonna go with this guy. Now, I had an honorable mention that I'm gonna show later at the end. But as I was thinking about it and I read some of y'all names, I was like, yeah, how do we not talk about Emanuel Stewart?
Bro.
International Boxing Hall of Fame coach. And
great pick, bro.
I'm not even going to go down accolades. I'm just going to read to you the list of names that this man has trained. And you're going to find some of the goats in this fucking list. Dennis Andreas, Jonathan Banks, Wilfred Benitez, Jesse Benavidez, Mark Breland, Cornelius Bungrade, Oba Carr, Julio Cesar Chavez, Kermit Cintrone, Miguel Cotto, Chad Dawson, Oscar De La Hoya, Dominique Dalton, Tyson Fury, Yurkis Gamboa, Miguel Angel Gonzalez, Mickey Goodwin, Nassim Hamed, Thomas Hearns, Evander Holyfield, John David Jackson, Hilmer Kentley, Ollie Clemenstein, Vladimir Klitschko, Andy Lee, William Caveman Lee, Lennox Lewis, who might be the most famous of all of them outside of Evander Holyfield, Oliver McCall, Mike McCollum, Gerald McLean, Milton Conroy, Stephen Conroy, Michael Moore, which we all remember Michael Moore, how that went down, Andrew Murray, Jim Paul, Aaron Pryor, Graciano, I'm not pronouncing the last name, Tariq, I'm not pronouncing that last name, Adonis Stevenson, Jermaine Taylor, Dwayne Thompson, James Toney, Sid Vanderpool, and Ricky Womack. I mean, that's just a countless number of world championships throughout all of that. I don't need to go further. And the man who was the main proprietor of Kronk Gym, who's what the world famous, one of probably the most world famous boxing gym out there. It was hard. I'm glad he didn't slip my mind. Emanuel Stewart needs to be shown some love, proper respect out there. TJ,
definitely one of the GOAT trainers of all time. When you had this man in your corner, he was going to get you a strap for whatever division you were in. The ability to find your weakness and make it a strength. His legend speaks volumes. I mean, I didn't realize half the people he trained under. When you reading off the list, I was like, damn, he coached him too. Like I didn't realize like he had a Aaron Pryor he was the corner man in Aaron Pryor's corner, or Chavez either. Like I was like, damn, he's definitely boxing Hall of Fame level worthiness. The man's knowledge and being in the fight game is beyond reproach. He's up there with the greats of in terms of boxing coaches of all time, no doubt.
100%, I agree. I have him on my honorable mention list, and I chose actually another boxing trainer, but we'll get into that for my top list. But you can't knock Emanuel Stewart's resume. How he's the most sought after trainer from a great era of boxing with multiple weight classes. And you don't see that.
It wasn't just one.
Where trainers are training dudes in multiple varying weight classes. He trained big men, small men, flyweight men. He trained them all. That dude just.
You go from Mark Breland to Lennox Lewis. I mean, that's a huge jump.
Yeah, he's Emanuel Stewart. His place is cemented in the pantheon of boxing gods. Emanuel Stewart, he's up there, bro.
Great pick, Dan.
So on you,
definitely forgot about it. My guy is Tubby Smith, who took over one of the most prestigious Division I schools for college basketball in Kansas, and led them to a national championship. This guy's resume is ridiculous. He's multiple Final Fours, multiple SEC championships, multiple regular SEC regular season wins, Coach of the Year in 2003, Naismith College Coach of the Year in 2003, Henry Eber Award in 2003, two-time MVC Coach of the Year, three-time SEC Coach of the Year, Big 12 Coach, John Wooden Legends Coaching Award. I mean, the guy is a legend, and the first Black coach to coach Kansas and bring them a title. Back in was that 1990, going back that far. Tubby Smith was a man not to be played with when his teams were on the floor. And his legend, he's still coaching now. He's coaching at High Point, but the work this man had and the players he coached were phenomenal.
Jamal, it's on you.
No, Tubby is no joke. Great basketball mind. Had to walk in behind Rick Pitino and
that mess.
Leave that team to a championship. His basketball acumen speaks for itself, man. They didn't miss a beat when he took over for Rick Pitino, so they may have missed some of the recruiting prowess that Rick Pitino might have had, but no, Tubby Smith that's a good pick, TJ.
Thank you, man.
Now, one of your picks. What is something that you were opposite of? Because two of our picks were the same, which was Eddie Robertson and Mike Tomlin. Okay. But who's somebody that you picked opposite of?
I'm gonna pick Eddie Fletch. And Eddie Fletch was also a boxing trainer. So he's that black and white photo. There you go. Yeah. So Eddie Fletch was Emanuel Stewart before Emanuel Stewart. And Eddie Fletch trained down in Baltimore, trained a host of fighters. Most noteworthy was Joe Frazier. He trained the first man to beat Ali in the ring professionally. It is no coincidence that 4 of the 5 men who beat Ali were trained by Eddie Fletch. He found a hole in his game. Brilliant boxing mind. There's some of the best boxing trainers in history studied under Eddie Fletch and used his tutelage. Eddie Fletch, his most recent champion, his last champion, and which I think his greatest coaching job was he made Riddick Bowe a champion. Living in his grandma's basement, Riddick Bowe. The job he did with Riddick Bowe was impeccable, and I wish we would have ended up. I wish we would have gotten that Riddick Bowe Lennox Lewis fight. That would have been amazing. But boxing politics stopped everybody from getting that. But Eddie Fletch, they don't make trainers like that anymore, man. Not in boxing. And it's a shame that we we lost him. But he had a brilliant career, and that's on Eddie Fletch, brothers.
Yeah, good pick. Now I'm gonna roll into. I know I have 3 left, and I know one of my 3. Well, no, 2 of my 3. One of y'all picked. I'd have to look over it, but one of y'all picked the same as me. Sticking with basketball, going with this man right here.
That was me. Yeah,
Lenny Wilkins. You want to talk again about a fucking resume? You want to talk about a resume? First off, as a player, let's remember that 9-time All-Star, All-Star Game MVP, assist leader, his 50th and 70th anniversary teams. Number 19 is retired by the Supersonics, and he made an All-American team in 1960 in college. But as a coach, 1979 NBA champions, Coach of the Year in 94, 4-time All-Star Game coach, top 10 coaches in NBA history, career coaching record of 1,332 to 1,155, of 536 record, Hall of Famer, assistant coach of gold in 96, Olympic team coach in 92, gold. Do we need to, gave Seattle its only championship in 79. I mean, Lenny Wilkins, I accolades aside, you want to talk about like that one dude that he felt like a staple in the NBA when we were growing up. And we are of the age where we would most remember him as the mainstay on the Atlanta Hawks baseline as a head coach. And I'm not even going to sit here and try to recount how many legends this man coached, how many games he's groomed and improved over the years. This Lenny just deserves high honors no matter whenever you're talking about coaching.
Coach our beloved Knicks for a hot minute.
Very hot minute.
Walked out on that dumpster fire. Lenny Wilkins, man, like you said, his resume is impeccable. Like you said, he touched a lot of lives, coached a lot of legends, and one of the winningest coaches of all time in the NBA. There's nothing more to be said than that. You know what I'm saying? Like he's done it all as a player and as a coach, and that's hard to do. That's very hard to do, to carry that type of success over from a transitioning from a player to a coach. So respect that man.
And I realized, Jamal, why I felt like there was so many more, because you put down 6, but 2 of them are mine also.
My bad,
along with Lenny Wilkins. It's all good. TJ, it's on you. Who was your next pick?
I'm going old school. The man I didn't know I shared a birthday with, it was Clarence Edward Big House Gaines. This man coached for 20 some odd years, never had a losing season. Incredible. His overall record was 828 to 447.
And shout out to Big House Gaines who just walked by. Your pops just walked by.
Yeah.
You live with the man. What are you doing?
Won the NCAA championship back in '67. 8-time CIA championship. 6-time CIA Coach of the Year. His last one in 1980. The man's work is impeccable. Got the name Big House from a fellow student, saw his 6'3", 265-pound frame and said, "You're big as a house." It stuck, and he became the legend, as we all know, as Clarence Edward Big House Gaines. The man is a legend. Coached Morgan State for 5 years, and then went on to Winston-Salem and coached them for the next 20 years, retiring in 1993. This man is a beloved man in the college annals of basketball and is a legend.
And before we go to Jamal, he coached the legendary Stephen A. Smith, y'all. It would be blasphemous if we didn't mention that. It would be very blasphemous. But Jamal is, we share these last two.
Okay.
And since we on the old heads, no disrespect, we're going with this man here. Go right ahead.
What can be said? Eddie Robertson, he was number one on my list. I know I have another one, but Eddie Robertson is no joke. At Grambling State University, brother has a record of 408 wins, 165 losses, 15 ties. Third most career wins at the college football level. Led Grambling State to 17 SWAC championships, 9 Black college national championships, and he's the only HBCU coach to win a national championship in 5 different decades. That's crazy. That's longevity for him. That man knows the game of football. Sent about almost 200 Grambling State players to the NFL, and especially during an era where HBCUs used to send a disproportionate amount of black players to the NFL before the NCAA got involved and started pillaging. So Eddie Robertson, he's the godfather. He's the GOAT of all black coaches in my book.
I totally agree. Man. Like it's you couldn't think Grambling football and just not mention this man's name. Like you want to talk about synonymous with just one thing. You want to talk about loyalty with just one thing. Even still to this day, you mentioned Grambling. He's the first name that comes out of multiple people's mouths. And I know I have a friend who graduated from Grambling, and same thing. The dude is God down there. And he, to be honest, he's a god to black college football as a whole. And again, to have a resume, not many have a resume like that where you can say you sent over 200 plus players to become professionals at the same sport. That says a lot. And it tells you we can do the fucking job.
Yeah.
I actually had the pleasure of watching him coach a game. They used to do Grambling used to play up at Giant Stadium a few times, at least once a year back in the day. And I went to one of those games and saw him coach. They didn't win, but it was just an honor to go to one of those games and see the man on the sidelines in person like that. So, like you said, his resume speaks for itself.
Yep. The next up, and I'm my number
one. Okay.
After me, because it was my turn.
Oh, my bad.
But it's just the fact that me and Jamal shared the same pick. It is the living legend, as we will call him right now, Mike Tomlin. We've been praising this man for the past few weeks now. 15 seasons, I believe it is. 15 seasons. Never had a losing record.
Mm-hmm.
His coaching history starts back in 1995 at VMI as a wide receivers coach, Memphis, a graduate assistant, Arkansas State as a receivers coach, Arkansas State defensive back coach in 98. Then he moved on to defensive back coach in Cincinnati for 2 years. Was with the Bucks from 2001 to 2005, Vikings 2006, head coach 2007 till today with the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2-time Super Bowl champion. One as a head coach with the Steelers, one with the Bucks. Coach of the year in 08, Motorola Coach of the Year in 08. Youngest head coach to ever win a Super Bowl. Most consecutive non-losing seasons, 15. Overall record of 154, 85, and 2. And I think those 2 ties just came within like the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Or overall career record, including playoffs, 162, 94, and 2. There's not much else to mention after that with him. The man is still doing it to this day. If you need proof that a black man can run an organization, one of, if not the GOAT organizations in all of football, the organization that created the rule that forces owners to have to interview two of y'all. And you talk about, again, stability. This man is the living embodiment of what stable organization and stable coaching looks like. Even though, yes, you rotate your coordinators here and there, they still got to come answer to you. Year in and year out. Year in and year out, this man has never had a losing season ever. Ever. I don't think anybody can say that in the NFL. I would have had to do more research to try to find more names to have possibly come close. Come close. Instant Hall of Famer once he's said and done. Once it's all said and done. Instant.
Yeah. I'm on the same page with you. Mike Tomlin, I got tremendous respect for Mike Tomlin, and big fan of Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin is a survivor of so much slander on top of his wins. All he does is produce, but what happens to so many black coaches is you hear language like, well, he's got good coordinators, or he's got good this, and things rotate and change in Pittsburgh. The only constant is Mike. Mike Tomlin is still delivering, especially this year. I think he did a hell of a coaching job this year because Ben was straight garbage. The offensive line is straight garbage. They had no running game. The defense was not nearly as stout as it was last year, and he still put them boys in the postseason. And I think it's underestimated. They try and say, well, he's not an X and O's guy. How you know he's not an X and O's guy? His teams are consistently there. They change coordinators. His teams are consistently there. So give him credit for something. You know what I mean? And I think they severely underestimate the power of a motivator of men. And Mike Tomlin, you can have all the X's and the O's in the world, but if you can't motivate those players, and if you play the sport of football, you can have the best X's and O's coaches on the other sideline. But if the coach on the other sideline has his players believing they can beat you any day of the week, which team's going to win?
Any given Sunday. It's actual facts.
Yes.
It's actual facts. You can be the fucking mad scientist of whatever. You can be what they thought John Gruden was. You could be all of these guys who they thought they were. If you have a group of players who are ready to run through the wall for you, anything is possible.
And that's what Mike Tomlin is. Mike Tomlin consistently delivers. So give that man his flowers.
100%.
Indeed.
Now,
Indeed.
TJ, your last one.
My last one, one of the GOATs of all time. I'm going with Sir Richard Williams, the father
pictures that didn't come up
of Serena and Venus Williams.
Coach several others.
Yes, and several others. Coach Serena Venus to 49 singles titles, Serena to 79 singles titles, and also is a doubles titles coach with Serena and Venus. And he's got 21 doubles coaching titles with those two together. What more can be said? Serena is possibly the greatest tennis player of all time, male or female. All right. Her record, her resume is untouched. It's ridiculous. Venus,
top 3 to 5 greatest athletes, period.
Period. What that man has done from his humble beginnings to get his daughters to play in some of the worst conditions you could possibly play tennis in, to be on the top of the mountain and put both of his daughters there is incredible, unmatched. And what he's done is beyond phenomenal. I mean, you want to talk about somebody whose kids believe in him and what he's done and what he's proven out on these courts is bananas, ridiculous. And that's why I had him as my number one.
Yeah, I didn't have no particular order with mine, but Jamal, you mentioned, I want to hear what your honorable mentions are after I give my last one, that this is somewhat of an honorable mention, but I wanted to add him in the list before I remembered Emanuel Stewart. Go with the player of all players, Mr. Teddy Long. I needed to go with the player of all players right there, Mr. Teddy Long. NWA Hall of Famer, WWE Hall of Famer. I mean, this dude started off from like just humble beginnings in wrestling, like driving people, then was helping out building rings and helping out running shows to, hey man, you ever tried to want to be a manager? The rest is history. The rest is history. So I just had to throw in there that Teddy Long. I wanted to mention the Doctor of Style Slick also, because I was Googling my ass off for black managers outside of my head because I was trying to remember more than just them two. And they were hard to come by, very hard to come by in the world of professional wrestling. But I had to give it up for the player, Teddy Long, one time. What was your honorable mention list before we close this out?
Was Dawn Staley, of course. We touched on Casey Jones.
Yeah, I had him as well. You muted.
I didn't say who do you have on your TJ list. I said, but I didn't say who do you have on your honorable mentions. Was Jamal froze?
I had Tiger Woods pops as an honorable mention. What Tiger Woods done is transformed the game of golf completely. Brought a new aspect, brought weightlifting and working out into golf. You know what I'm saying? Changed the entire sport, revolutionized the sport. Had us black folks watching golf because of who Tiger Woods was and what he was doing. And the amount of success Tiger Woods had on the greens. So that was my honorable mention.
Yeah, I mean, Tiger, Tiger, the way he changed the game was really a lot, besides strengthening, endurance. He made them have to stretch out holes, make holes a little longer. You know what I'm saying? Because of all the power he had at the time. You want to talk about? I mentioned Teddy Long, and one of the words in the world of professional wrestling is if you're a draw. Mm-hmm. Who was Tiger Woods might have been the biggest draw to any sport ever, period. Like TJ mentioned, like he brought black folks to golf. A lot, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like a lot of older black men might have loved golf for some time, but he made us pay attention. And the PGA's ratings showed that on a week in and week out basis.
He made golf must-see TV when Tiger Woods was playing.
Yeah.
You were watching it. You were cognizant of what's going on. What is Tiger doing? Like, where's he at?
At least the last 9. And everybody knows Sunday Tiger.
Right.
That came from daddy. He get it from his father, just like TJ once again. He got it from his But this was dope. We showed love. Next week, it's up in the air. Y'all will find out during the week what we'll talk about next in this month of blackness. So Jamal, you know what to do.
Yo, shout out May and TJ. Great show, y'all. Great topics this week. Shout out everybody in the starting 5, everybody that's watching, everybody in the starting 5. Y'all have a good week.
Yep. Another great show. Love this. Check the QR code by Jamal's head over there. You want to be involved. We welcome everybody, like Dan said. Have a great week. Shout out to Katara. Her birthday was this week. Happy birthday, Katara.
Happy birthday. Still the first lady of the show, even though she don't come around the block anymore. But she's still the first lady.
Yeah, and have a great week, y'all. Stay warm. Still ain't getting no warmer yet. So bundle up out there. It was brick outside yesterday.
And with that being said, none more else for me to say other than continue to support us independent voices who are free from media control. Continue to support us.
Disabled Planets.
Disabled Planets.